Mamata's party protests against central agencies. Trinamool calls CBI and ED tools of the BJP. The big Bengal dangal on 5 Live. So trouble mounting for Mamata Banerjee's government and the Trinamool party in West Bengal. Agencies crackdown continues and escalates. We'll get you more on that. I'm Shiv Aroor. This is 5 Live and these are the headlines. Former England cricketer Monty Panesar calls Laal Singh Chaddha a disgrace to the Indian Army and to Sikhs. Highlights how US Army's low IQ recruit for the Vietnam War doesn't fit with the Indian context of the Kargil War. Fight over freebies escalates after Finance Minister accuses Kejriwal of giving perverse twist to freebies. Sisodia alleges Modi waved off loans of friends. Malayalam film's Pothole Roads poster stirs huge controversy in Kerala. Pothole pot shot infuriates Pinarayi Vijayan government. Supporters call for boycott of the film. Mahila Congress workers stage a huge protest in Thiruvananthapuram. Speeding SUV kills 6 people, including 2 teenagers in Gujarat's Anand. Driver identified as Congress MLA's son-in-law. BJP hits out. Big terror alert ahead of Independence Day. Pakistan terrorists bid to target public events through IED strikes. Car bombs exposed. Intelligence agencies uncover terror plot. And India Today's super exclusive news break. But we're starting 5 Live this evening with breaking news coming in from Bengal after back-to-back arrests of Trinamool ministers by central agencies in a series of different controversies. The Trinamool has hit the streets and is up in arms. Mamata Banerjee's party students wing and women's wing are on the streets of Kolkata protesting against what they call a witch hunt and vendetta politics by the Modi Sarkar. After Partho Chatterjee, now Anubrata Mandal is under investigation as well in a different case. So 3 persons from either from the government or linked to the Trinamool have been arrested so far and are under investigation in various scams. And the Trinamool is not taking it lying down. They've decided to show force, hit the streets in protest against what they say is a witch hunt. India Today's Suryagni Roy is live with us from Kolkata this evening. Suryagni, what's happening there? After Partho and Arpita, spotlight on Anubrata Mandal, the Trinamool hitting the streets now.
Well, yes, absolutely, Shiv. And as you have been rightly pointing out, that the youth wing, the students wing of Trinamool Congress has been protesting since morning today. And it's not a one-day agenda. It's not going to happen for today itself. It's going to happen. It's going to continue tomorrow as well. It's not specified to Kolkata. It's going to happen at the length and throughout the length and breadth of the state. Yesterday and even today, multiple Trinamool Congress leaders, senior veteran leaders, even today, Saugata Roy told us that, the ED, the CBI, they are behaving in a partisan manner. They are working very, very, partially. The examples they cite is that, they have a Shubhendu Adhikari who's also an accused in the Narada Singh case. And he doesn't get interrogated, he doesn't get investigated, but it's the non-BJP leaders who are always, put under the scanner and they are dragged and they are, arrested. And that is the reason why the youth wing of Trinamool Congress has been, pushed ahead and to make sure that they hit the streets of Kolkata and the districts against this particular allegation. And today it was a pretty big rally by the students of the Trinamool Congress's Youth Front.
Stay with me, because now the spotlight has shifted from Partha Chatterjee to Anubrata Mandal, also a minister in the Mamata Banerjee government. The Trinamool, which is facing heat over the arrests of both Anubrata Mandal and Partha Chatterjee, has issued a statement and slammed the Home Ministry under Amit Shah. The party has demanded an unbiased and speedy probe in the cattle smuggling case and maintained it has zero tolerance towards corruption. Targeting the BJP, the Trinamool has said no action has been taken against Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma and Shubhendu Adhikari, who also faces corruption charges. On Thursday, protesters hurled shoes and began sloganeering against Mandal. Meanwhile, the CBI has revealed their charges against the accused during the probe. Illegal cross-border smuggling of cattle, transportation and a money trail were also found. The CBI states that the accused were involved in organizing and executing large-scale illegal cattle smuggling in exchange for huge sums of money. Remember, they say that Anubrata Mandal, senior minister in the Mamata Banerjee government, now under arrest by the CBI, is the kingpin of this cattle smuggling racket. The BJP has slammed the Trinamool over the arrest of its party leaders, saying this is a party of scam artists.
अनुब्रतो मंडल के खिलाफ क्या सबूत है आज तक क्लियर नहीं है। वो बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन ऐसे ही लोगों को लगता है कि वो बार-बार समन से नहीं जाते इसलिए गिरफ्तार किया। ये साफ हो जाए। अभी तो मामला अदालत तक पहुंच गया है। अदालत में क्लियर हो, चार्जशीट में उनको नाम हो, तब देखा जाएगा। ईडी सीबीआई पार्टीजन है, वो केवल विरोधी लोगों को खिलाफ कदम उठाते हैं। क्या हुआ? शुभेंदु अधिकारी के खिलाफ शारदा के मालिक सुदीप्त सेन बयान दिया। क्यों शुभेंदु को एक बार बुलाया भी नहीं किया? हिमंत बिश्व शर्मा जो आसाम के मुख्यमंत्री है, उनको शारदा के साथ ताल्लुक था। अभी भी वो महाराष्ट्र में सरकार गिराने के लिए पैसा खर्च किए हैं। उनको कहाँ ईडी सीबीआई पूछते हैं।
ये जो कहा जा रहा है कि आप जो है जिस तरह से बीजेपी की केंद्र सरकार जो कार्रवाई करती है, ईडी सीबीआई लगा देती है, आपको डर नहीं लगता?
हमरा कहला ये सबका फालतू चीज ये तो जानते ही है। वो तो खुद ही सोचना चाहिए कि जनता में क्या चीज का एक एक चीज जो करिएगा। आज संविधान बना हुआ है, नियम बना हुआ है, कानून बना हुआ है, एक एक चीज है, और कौन क्या करते रहते हैं अपना वो करते रहे एक्सप्लेन। आज जो होता है वो भी करता रहेगा। ये सब चीज की हमको कोई है नहीं। आप देख लीजिए। अरे भाई 24 को आने न दीजिए, तब न देखिए
24 में बनेंगे उम्मीदवार।
अरे हम कहला बनेंगे उम्मीदवार? हम उम्मीदवार नहीं, लेकिन हम सब लोगों को जो भी हमसे बात कर रहे हैं, हम सबको कह रहे हैं सब एकजुट होकर के चलिए।
अगर कहीं भी आरोपी हैं और अगर उन पे जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन के माध्यम से कोई एक फुल प्रूफ केस बन रहा हो तो बाकायदा उन पे कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। पर जहां तक हमने देखा है, ईडी के सारे केस आर डायरेक्टेड एट पॉलिटिकल ओपोनेंट्स और कन्विक्शन रेट जो देखोगे तो उसमें 0.5% है। तो अब 100% विपक्ष के पीछे पड़ रहे हैं और 0.5% कन्विक्शन रेट है, तो वो दिखाई देता है कि ये राजनीति से प्रेरित रेड्स हैं।
देखिए, चोर जैसे भगते हैं पुलिस से। अनुब्रत मंडल कोई नेता का आचरण नहीं किया, चोर का माफी का आचरण किया। जिन्होंने गाय तस्करी का साथ खुद शामिल है, इतना सारे सबूत उनके खिलाफ है। जो गौ माता को विदेश में बेचते हैं, उनका खिलाफ तो कार्रवाई होना चाहिए। और तृणमूल का नेता लोग भी देखे ये सीबीआई का बुलावा को नकारने का साजा क्या होता है। जहां पर भी है वहीं से गिरफ्तार किया।
The fact of the matter is that in Bengal, all these leaders of the TMC have been part of various syndicates and crime organizations purely at the behest and of state patronage, of which Mamata Banerjee is the provider. As the Chief Minister and as Home Minister, she is in complete knowledge of all the crime syndicates that operate in the state, whether it is cow smuggling, whether it is coal scam, whether it is the SSC recruitment scam, or what you will. Whether it is Partha Chatterjee or Anubrata Mandal, they were not acting on their own. They are Mamata's men. They were acting at her behest. They were executing these scams, these crimes at her instructions. Now for Mamata Banerjee and the TMC to disassociate themselves from either Anubrata Mandal or Partha Chatterjee is just convenience because the heat has got too much.
So after Partha Chatterjee and Anubrata Mandal, you might think that's all, but there are actually more ministers and Trinamool leaders who are on the radar of central agencies. So who's next, really, at this point of time? Let's tell you. Maloy Ghatak is the Bengal law minister. He's been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate in the coal scam. Paresh Adhikari, Bengal education minister, questioned by the CBI in the SSC scam. Manik Bhattacharya, Trinamool MLA, questioned by the Enforcement Directorate also in the SSC scam. So 3 senior leaders, 2 of them ministers, 1 of them also is just an MLA. All could possibly face similar action very, very soon. Okay, now we're shifting focus to another part of the country, to another big controversy. The poster of a Malayalam film has seriously agitated the Pinarayi Vijayan government in the state. The movie is a satire and highlights the pothole menace in the state of Kerala. Here's a report on why this poster has stoked a controversy and why, from the left to the Congress, parties have hit the streets in protest.
എല്ലാ മൂല കാരണക്കാരൻ മന്ത്രിയാണ്.
മന്ത്രി ഞാൻ റോഡിൽ വന്നിട്ട് കുഴി കുത്തിനാ
3 ദിവസം നീ കോടതി അടിച്ചു വരണം.
വായടിച്ചത് അതും ഇല്ല.
A poster of a satirical Malayalam movie triggers a political slugfest in Kerala. Anna Tan Keskodu has courted controversy with its tagline, "There are potholes on the way to the theatre, but do come." The tagline has angered left-leaning netizens in Kerala who have called for a boycott of the movie. Many perceived the ad as criticism of the Pinarayi Vijayan government. The state PWD minister Mohammad Riaz played down the controversy.
കേരളമെന്നല്ല, കേരളം ഉണ്ടായെന്ന് മുതലുള്ള ഈ പ്രശ്നത്തിന് പരിഹാരം കാണാൻ സ്വാഭാവികമായും അതിന് ക്രിയാത്മകമായ നിർദ്ദേശങ്ങൾ, ചർച്ചകളൊക്കെ തന്നെ വരും, വിമർശനങ്ങൾ വരും. അതൊക്കെ സ്വാഭാവികമാണ്. ഇതെനിക്ക് എന്താണെന്ന് അറിയില്ല. ഇതിപ്പോൾ ഒരു സിനിമയല്ലേ, സിനിമയുടെ പരസ്യമല്ലേ, നമ്മളതിനെ അങ്ങനെ കണ്ടാൽ മതി.
Kunjako Boban, who plays the protagonist in the movie, has clarified the poster doesn't target any particular party but sends out a message to all parties.
ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു വിഭാഗം രാഷ്ട്രീയക്കാരെയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ജനവിഭാഗത്തെയോ മാത്രം ടാർഗറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന രീതിയിലൊന്നുമല്ല നമ്മൾ സിനിമ എടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇത് മാറി മാറി വരുന്ന ഏത് രാഷ്ട്രീയക്കാരാണെങ്കിലും നമ്മുടെ സാധാരണക്കാരൻ്റെ അവസ്ഥകൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കുക എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ അത് സാധാരണക്കാരിലേക്ക് എത്തിക്കുന്നു. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ബ്യൂറോക്രാറ്റ്സിനെ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്ന രീതിയിൽ എത്തിക്കുന്നു. ഏതൊക്കെ തലത്തിൽ ഇവിടെയുള്ള പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ നടക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ളത് വളരെ സിമ്പിളായിട്ട് എല്ലാവർക്കും മനസ്സിലാകുന്ന രീതിയിൽ ഹ്യൂമറിൻ്റെ അകമ്പടിയോടുകൂടി പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള സിനിമയാണ്.
Meanwhile, the Congress, the main opposition party in the state, staged protest against the pothole menace across the state.
Take as a humor sense, but the CPM in Kerala, they are acting like the fascists in Delhi. This is the inefficiency and carelessness from the part of the government.
The movie promotion comes at a time the Kerala High Court came down heavily on the National Highway Authority of India over a man's death over falling into a pothole. Bureau Report, India Today.
Meanwhile, left leader and Kerala MLA KT Jaleel has stirred his own big controversy by calling Pakistan-occupied Kashmir Azad Kashmir. In a Facebook post, KT Jaleel, minister, has targeted the Modi government and said the central government has divided Kashmir into 3 parts. He also said that anger can be seen on the faces of the people in the area. KT Jaleel also questioned the revocation of Article 370, but the anger he faces is for identifying POK as Azad Kashmir. Jaleel's comments have triggered big outrage, especially on social media. The BJP has accused the Kerala MLA of singing Pakistan's tune and furthering Pakistani propaganda. Party is also demanding action against KT Jaleel. The CPM, though, the ruling party of Kerala, has distanced itself from KT Jaleel. The MLA's statement, the party general secretary saying they cannot monitor social media posts of everybody. While Jaleel has called POK Azad Kashmir, here's what's happening there in reality, however. POK residents staged a huge protest against the Pakistan government this week. Complete shutdown in the biggest city of Muzaffarabad, Neelam and Jhelum Valley areas. So that is the reality of what KT Jaleel calls Azad Kashmir this is Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
I don't know what he's saying. What is idea? I don't know anything. So you do go and meet Jaleel and collect the details. You go and meet our party general secretary. It is in Delhi. It is just near to Kashmir. Kerala is very far from here.
He is saying that the Pak-occupied Kashmir is Azad Kashmir. And one more thing, he is saying that the military, the soldiers were ill-treated the Kashmiri people in 90s. All these statements by Mr. K.T. Jaleel is anti-national. He had a connection with the Zimi and all in last 15 years back. He was a Simi activist. After that he became Muslim League and recently he joined with CPM. So his anti-national, anti-Indian, his approach is highly condemnable. We are strongly condemn the statement of Mr. K.T. Jaleel. He is always using such words against our Indian Union and Indian sovereignty and integrity of India.
It is not astonishing that Mr. K.T. Jaleel has taken a stand that Kashmir, the Pak-occupied Kashmir, is Azad Kashmir. He was former member of Simi, the banned terrorist organization. Later he joined Muslim League, and from there he reached the left parties. The most surprising fact is that how an elected MLA of Kerala can say that Pak-occupied Kashmir is Azad Kashmir when the 1994 unanimous resolution of Indian Parliament states that Pak-occupied Kashmir is an integral part of India and it should be brought back. We demand an immediate action against Mr. K.T. Jaleel. He should book under UAPA and put him into jail.
On the other side of this very short break, ace shuttler PV Sindhu, India's golden girl, in an exclusive first conversation with Rajdeep Sardesai. It's her first interaction after her Commonwealth gold.
Will the falling rupee badly impact the Indian economy? Should India ban trade in cryptocurrencies? To know the answers of several such other questions, read the latest edition of India Today's exclusive Mood of the Nation poll. Subscribe to the India Today magazine now.
And India Today's Rajdeep Sardesai spoke exclusively to golden girl PV Sindhu on her gold medal win at the Commonwealth Games 22. Much more on this. Listen in.
And joining us now is a very special guest, is India's golden girl. I call her India's greatest ever athlete now, PV Sindhu. Back from that Commonwealth gold, smiling as ever, that lovely smile. PV, congratulations. You just get better and better with time. You seemed almost unbeatable, in fact unbeatable in this Commonwealth Games. Give us a sense of your feelings at the end of this Games.
Well, thank you so much. And of course, it was a wonderful one and I'm very happy. Of course, it was a much weighted one, I would say. And I can also say that I've completed the sequence now. So I'm very happy about that.
Yes, you know, you won virtually everything there is to win. You won the Commonwealth gold. You won a world championship. You've, in a way, the only set that remains, Sindhu, is silver, bronze so far in the Olympics. You just need the gold. That's all that remains.
Yeah, of course, ultimate aim would be that. So working hard towards it.
What's changed in your game? You know, what's changed? For those of us who've been watching you, you seemed even faster, fitter, more in control of your game. Has anything changed in the last few months?
Well, yeah, definitely. We've, I think, game-wise, we've trained a lot and worked on our skill and technique. I think that has really helped us. And of course, Mr. Park has been always there, and we've been focusing on court and off court. So I would say that yeah, there's been some improvement now, and I think we'll have to focus more on that. And I'm sure, I will learn a lot more in the coming tournaments.
You and Mr. Park seem to have a very good relationship. I mean, I remember asking you this even after the Olympics, but he seems even more excited than you at times during close matches. What is this relationship? A Korean and an Indian, how do you sort of gel together?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So
yes, I can.
I think it is very important. I think that bond between a coach and an athlete is very important because you understand what there is on and off court while playing match and what's happening in her mind, because it's very important. I would say this as a coach, when he's teaching something, he needs to know, because there are some things where he might disagree, there are a few things where I might disagree. So we come to a conclusion and we make sure what needs to be done, what would work out exactly for me, and when we play against the players, what strategy would work out. So I think everything is related to one another. And of course, he's super happy and excited. And of course, after the match was over, he was like, Jai Hind. He learned from me how to say that. And we both of us together after the match, we said Jai Hind towards the camera. And of course, he is super, super happy that there's been some process and it's been really, really working out, which is really good.
So you've taught him Jai Hind. Has he taught you any Korean or not?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Come again.
He's taught you Jai Hind. You've taught him Jai Hind. Have you taught him any Korean words?
Well, Korean language is really hard. He's been teaching me, but it's really hard to pick up. But when he learns Hindi words, like small words, really good. A lot.
You know what? We are having a bit of a problem with your line, Sindhu. But let me try once again. Just looking at badminton for you at the moment, I see a certain, you put all your emotions out there on the court. When I see you play, it is as if you're giving 110% virtually, very excitable. But have you learned better now to control those emotions, especially at key moments? I mean, it seems that the tougher a match gets, the better you play. I remember against your Malaysian rival, you had a few tough moments, but you just seem to raise your game every time you're challenged. Is that something you relish? The bigger the match, the better you seem to play.
Well, I think when you keep getting into the match, it's very important that you understand how she's playing and how it is, because it's very important that you're focused every single point. And even though you've lost a few points, you lost the first game, it's very important for me at that point to stay calm and think what's going on and what needs to be done. So I think, that is why I just think that, the bigger the match, I keep being in the match, but I keep getting in the match even more, and I make sure that I am calm and composed, and keep trying to keep getting points and keep thinking what needs to be done.
PV, every time I see you play, I just get so excited. You sort of bring out the best in Indian sport. You become a real trailblazer, and I maintain you now can claim to be the greatest sports person India has produced. And I hope that you go from strength to strength. God bless. What more can one say? Keep getting gold. Keep going for gold right up to Paris.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
WhatsApp culture has created a stigma in this age and time. Everyone is under the pressure of being a part of a certain group. People do not want to share the blue tick reading mark. Different people have different concerns for WhatsApp. You can now leave groups without being noticed. People can now sneak out of groups. An update will not pop up if you leave a group. You can have a control over who sees you online. WhatsApp will now give you an option to show whether you're online or not. It will not let anyone take screenshots of your chats. Taking a screenshot of a conversation can also be restricted. The company conducted a survey on WhatsApp privacy features. 72% of people can remain unfiltered, while 47% are not comfortable sharing their personal information. WhatsApp is soon going to kickstart awareness programs about these new features in the UK and India. Are you excited about these new features, or are you happy using the old ones?
Laal Singh Chaddha's first day poor show.
मैं ले लेता हूँ। ओए, तू अपना काम कर, वो खुद उठाएगा।
Outrage over Indian Army's portrayal. Insult to Sikhs and soldiers, cries cricketer Monty Panesar. Veterans slam Laal Singh Chaddha.
There is no place for a person with low IQ in the Indian Army. So I suppose it is in a bad taste, it is disrespectful and disgraceful.
Does Amir's film disrespect Bravehearts?
There is huge uproar over actor Amir Khan's latest movie, Laal Singh Chaddha. Former England spinner Monty Panesar lashed out at the movie, calling it a disgrace to the Indian Army and to Sikhs. Panesar highlighted how Forrest Gump fits in the US Army because the United States during the Vietnam War was forced to recruit low IQ men to meet requirements for the conflict. In India, there is stringent criteria for selection. A candidate in India has to go through tough physical, mental and psychological training. He also shared a list of honors that have been won by Sikhs who served in the Indian Army. Monty Panesar's comments have only added fuel to this fire of boycott Laal Singh Chaddha. These trends have been active for over a month on social media platforms.
मेरे साथ ब्याह करेगी? तुम मुझे बहुत अच्छे लगते हो लाल.
Gaurav, definitely not. I think it's highly disgraceful. The whole project of 1 lakh. We are a very professional army, first and foremost. And secondly, we don't have these kind of characters. And you can't portray a Sikh gentleman like this here. I think it's very, very disgraceful. At least I would like to see the movie, but whatever I've heard of it, that's not the way to project it. I don't think it would have been cleared by anybody. At least I don't know if there was a system whether it had to be put up to the Ministry of Defense for clearing such a project or something. But anyway, notwithstanding the very fact that the thing like this has to be done, I think the basic sensitivity of the troops should have been maintained. This is not the way to project. Where is the US Army in that context, and where is the present Indian Army? Would it, in any case, I think it is totally out of context, very disgraceful. That's not the way to show. And anyway, even if it was cinematic, it should have been shown differently. They not project the Indian Army like this. I think it is not good.
It's shocking. First of all, we are talking about the Indian Army. We don't conscript, McNamara Morons into our army. And that to the special forces, they select the best of the best. You can't have someone, disrespecting our soldier just because they want to make an adaptation and fit it into an Indian context where it doesn't fit. Forrest Gump was a fantastic movie, but...
Former England spinner Monty Panesar has called the depiction of soldiers and Sikhs in Amir Khan's starrer Laal Singh Chaddha not just disrespectful, but also disgraceful. And he's not the only one. Can lifting a script about low IQ US soldiers drafted for Vietnam as part of a failed project called the McNamara Morons be used in the Indian perspective? Is this creative liberty, or is there merit in veterans, or at least some of them, saying this is hugely offensive? Joining me on the show, Meghna Girish, mother of brave Major Akshay Girish, who made the supreme sacrifice of his life fighting Pakistani terrorists at Nagrota in Jammu and Kashmir. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni is former Director General of Infantry. Meghna Pant is an author and an analyst, and Nasir Abdullah is an actor. I want to begin by asking Meghna Girish. Monty Panesar says the film is a disgrace to the Indian Armed Forces and to Sikhs. Do you agree or disagree with his take, and why?
I agree, because first of all, I don't think that Forrest Gump, which suited the context that it was made in America, when the American army conscripted a whole lot of, they lowered their standards physically and mentally for soldiers to be taken in to fight the Vietnam War. And the whole world knows that they took the maximum number of casualties over there. To bring that into India and say that our government or our armed forces recruited, young people into the Indian army with low standards of IQ is totally wrong. And that too, to say that they could become special forces soldiers. The special forces recruit the best of the best. So I think this is totally just not suited at all to the adaptation that has been done. It's like just force feeding, from somewhere to somewhere with absolutely...
Okay.
That is
Let me bring in Nasir Abdullah and Meghna Pant on this. Nasir Abdullah, you first. Bollywood, does it lack originality? Nakal ke liye bhi akal chahiye hoti hai, is what several people on social media platforms are saying. Lift a film about Vietnam and McNamara Morons, change the context to Kargil. Former Army Chief General Ved Malik, he was Army Chief during the Kargil War. He says anyone who thinks our soldiers are McNamara Morons is a moron himself.
Yeah, here is the deal, sir. Let's get one thing straight. You've actually given me all the comparisons with other films, etc. Amir Khan is a very gifted actor, filmmaker, director, whatever, producer, a Padma Vibhushan recipient. He has made great, great shows about the Indian bravehearts, the martyrs, and the works. He has made a film for the people at large to enjoy and to whatever. And I cannot for the life of me imagine Amir doing anything that could hurt or make fun of the sentiments of anybody. This is the only entertainment we have in India, pretty much for the poor people. But always, somebody always finds something. Imagine Monty Panesar, a cricket spinner, bowler based in the UK, is saying something, it's horrible, it's terrible stuff. I don't get it. Please, this is a film, and I am sure, I can say this with 100% surety. I know Ahmed, he's my junior. I almost happened to see him grow in a way, and I know the family.
Okay.
Very nice human being.
Very nice
cultured,
human being who makes a film
man.
which takes a US context, juxtaposes it in India, which our veterans say does not fit.
So who cares? It doesn't matter. It's a film, for God's sake. It is not a documentary that will be archived and to show the history of the country. It is a film with some fantasy shown. The idea is to show a situation. It doesn't matter. If it's a photocopy, it's okay. So many copies have been made. Lots of copies have flopped.
Nakal ke liye akal nahi chahiye is what you're saying.
Sorry?
Nakal ke liye akal nahi chahiye is what you're saying.
Absolutely not. I mean, why are you bringing this line anyway? It is stupid on your part to bring this line. He has made a film that everybody's liking. Why can't
Everybody's
you accept
liking
that
the cinema halls we are told are empty, but be that as it may. Fair enough. You are entitled to your view.
No, but you are not entitled to this view because it is not fair. You're talking about the film industry. We are not talking about politics or the army's movement, etc. We are talking about entertainment, and the director has the liberty to
creative
do
liberty is
whatever
what
he
you're
needs
saying.
to,
Let me take this to Jaleel
provided
Kulkarni.
he doesn't offend it.
Let me take this to Jaleel Kulkarni. Jaleel Kulkarni, of course, Nasir Abdullah is of the view कि नकल के लिए अकल नहीं चाहिए होती है. But Jaleel Kulkarni, the context, US lacked soldiers in Vietnam. So Robert McNamara, then US Secretary Defense, came up with what was known as Project 100,000. Subpar soldiers with low IQ were drafted into the US Army and sent to Vietnam. In your appreciation, you were Director General of India's infantry, and you as a young captain, you planted the first tricolor at the Siachen Glacier. Sir, can that context be used in India? Do we have such low IQ soldiers in India?
I'm sorry, huh? After.
Gaurav, not at all. Let me be honest with you. I have seen Forrest Gump. I know the acting of Tom Hanks. I am not denying the acting of Amir Khan or anyone for that matter. What is important is you cannot adapt a film like that kind. If they had to show, they could have shown anything else. They can't show the army in poor light, and definitely not a Sikh soldier in a poor light, first and foremost. Ours is a very professional army. You are not looking like what Americans are looking at in Vietnam, and a lack of morons being enrolled because they were finding it extremely difficult. They could have taken it. But if an adaptation had to be done, it has to be done very. We are not talking of cinematic or anything of that kind. At this point of time, it's highly disgraceful. It speaks very poorly of the Indian army and the Sikh soldiers at large. I think it's not done. Whatever it may be, you may be class, you may be excellent, but you've got to be sensitive to situations. You cannot adapt something that is US to India. If it had to be done, we aren't that kind of an army at all. Ours is a very professional army. You cannot say that we are making a film, please detach yourself, it's a film. No, not at all. If you have to make a film, then let it be total fiction, and let not have our uniforms, let not there be our depiction, let not there be anything of the Indian army.
Sir, you raised a very pertinent point when you talk about insulting to Sikhs, and I will come back both to you, Meghna Girish and Meghna Girish, to talk about it. How are Sikhs and why are Sikhs feeling insulted in this? But Meghna Pant, Laal Singh Chaddha shows a subpar IQ commando, special forces commando who's subpar. Now, that is wrong depiction of our commandos, say our veterans, especially those commandos who fought and won Kargil. Take the example of Major Sudhir Walia, 9 para special forces, awarded Ashok Chakra in a counter-terror operation, Sena Medal and Bar for gallantry, conquered Zulu Top in Kargil. Madam, he topped every course that he was a part of, including courses he went for in the United States of America. So, is Amir Khan guilty of blatantly wrong depiction of our soldiers?
Gaurav, I don't think I don't have watched the film, so I can't comment on that per se. But I would just say, I was listening to your Nasir and your argument, and I just want to say, can I just present a slightly more moderate stance, which I think our nation needs. We are, on our 75th year of independence. We are one nation. We are not, anek. We are ek, and I think that's something we need to be cognizant of. And at the same time, I keep coming and saying, I've said this before also on your platform, that art is no longer stronger than the artist, right? Earlier, in today's world, no creators living in an ivory tower, right? Earlier, for example, authors would be read, but they would not be seen or heard. Now you've got authors who are, read only if they're seen and heard. So I feel like the God is not no longer now in the superstar, but in the social media, thanks to sort of the advent of it, and the era of this infallible, glamorous movie star is unfortunately over. And I think we're at a tipping point where if the cancel culture takes over, our film industry, our artists, everybody, we all have to be very aware and very mindful of how we are now representing our art. And we have to be extremely responsible towards it. At the same time, I also feel like opinions are like armpits, like everybody has them and most of them stink. So you have to decide which part of the fault line you're in. But I think the one thing that will change the conversation, I don't know if you can hear me.
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Oh,
Meghna.
great.
Please go ahead.
I think the one thing that would change the conversation is if there's a law of the land, a mandate, because, Gaurav, we've seen this again and again, this huge tussle between the artist and the censor. Our nation can do better. I mean, Bollywood employs lakhs
Of
and lakhs
course, our
of
nation
people.
can do
Let's not
better.
take away
Our
their bread and
artists can
butter,
do
but at the
better.
same time, there has to
Our
be a
artists
mandate
can
of
also
how
do
far
better.
can creativity go.
It's a two-way
Yeah.
street.
It's
It's
a
a
two-way
two-way
street,
street.
exactly.
It's a
It's a two-way
democracy.
street.
And in a democracy, people have a right to be heard. Meghna Girish, you've written about Bollywood and the Hindi film industry's fixation with a hostile country in a neighborhood. In this movie too, you're upset. Meghna Girish, why are you upset, ma'am?
Look, first of all, if you've made an adaptation, then you might as well have stayed true to what the original was. In the original, Lieutenant Lang was his superior officer whom he saves and who later becomes his buddy and, his business partner. What was the need over here to go pick up the enemy? That's what I've heard. I've seen some clips on Twitter. I haven't watched the movie, I must say. But if this is true, that if he's gone and, rescued, I understand an honor code, you rescue your enemy. You don't make him your business partner. So that, I think, have you made this movie for Indian audiences or is it to please someone across the border? It does hurt us. It is insulting. It is extremely painful to see
Nasir
such
Abdullah,
kind
you
of,
laugh. Nasir Abdullah, you laugh when a martyr's mother says she's hurt and she's upset. You mock her.
No. I'm not mocking her. You're putting words into my mouth.
No,
Don't do that.
she said,
Let
I'm
me tell
hurt,
you what it
and you
is.
laugh, sir.
I can't for the life of me imagine someone like Amir Khan doing something to please another nation.
Look, I've also liked Amir Khan's movies, like Tari Zameen Par.
Nasir Abdullah, okay, let the lady complete her point. Let her complete her point, sir.
No. Let me complete the point.
Let her complete her point
No, I'm
first.
sorry, Gaurav.
Sir, her son made the supreme sacrifice for India fighting Pakistani terrorists. The least you can do is give her 30 seconds to speak.
That has nothing to do with Amir Khan. Why in the world would Amir Khan make a film to please our enemies? Are you out of your minds, guys? Are you out of your mind, Mr. Sawan? What is wrong with you?
I'm asking a question and it's not my question. It's a brave soldier's mother, a brave soldier who made the supreme sacrifice of his life fighting Pakistani terrorists. She's asking the question. At least have the courtesy of listening to her.
Yes, I will do the courtesy, but please don't speak rubbish.
At least be courteous, sir. Ma'am, please go on.
Go on, madam. Go on.
Gaurav, I have liked Amir Khan's movies in the past.
Sir, you say you'll be courteous and then you continue to speak, sir.
I have admired the way he's picked up subjects and made a movie like Tare Zameen Par. Even the more recent Dangal, I have definitely liked it. But like I have said, first of all, adaptation of this movie which doesn't fit our context. If Mr. was so perfect, he really should have done his research properly. And on top of that, you don't have to make, this is not just an insult to soldiers' families. It is like to all Indians to assume that, somebody from the enemy can become your business partner and just stay on in this country and, go when you please. This is what I have read and seen clips about. This is this is definitely painful. You don't do such things.
Nasir Abdullah, what is this Hindi film industry's Pakistan prem? Pakistan bleeds India. Pakistan bleeds India, and yet, no, hear me out. Before you fly off the handle, sir. Before you fly off the handle, hear me out, sir. Hear me out. Pakistan bleeds India. Their actors and cricketers abuse India on Kashmir. But why is there this one section in Bollywood that is hell-bent on hiding ground realities about Pakistan?
Okay, I'll give you the answer. Here is the deal. I first want to ask Madam here, who seems to insinuate that he's doing something to please the country across the border. Madam, nobody has spoken about it yet from all the people who have viewed the film. Can you give me any evidence to show that this has been done with the intent to please the enemy country?
Can you give me one evidence?
Sir,
have you got any evidence?
you need
Or
to
we should
respond
ask
to a
the
question.
army
Do not
gentleman who's
deflect.
Here, Major General.
Do not
Can we
deflect,
ask him?
Nasir Abdullah. I've asked you a
No,
question,
I'm not
sir. You need to answer that question.
Okay, I will answer the question
Sir,
because
Abdullah,
I don't
I
know
have
the answer
seen
to
clips.
that.
I
You would
have
have to
seen
find out
clips.
yourself. But
I
answer
have
the
seen
question.
clips.
You are making
I have
an
seen
accusation.
clips that have been
Nasir
shared.
Abdullah,
which show exactly
nobody's going to
that.
derail this debate, but let me bring in Meghna Pant into this conversation. Can I have all faders down?
Why could he not show him
All faders down. All faders down.
done in the
Hold on. We need, I want to bring in Jaleel Kulkarni also. Jaleel Kulkarni, Shahid Afridi is that Pakistani cricketer who broke a television in his house because his daughter watched a Hindi serial showing Aarti and his daughter was imitating that Aarti. Pakistani cricketer, and we call them to play cricket with us. They're actors, they're cricketers, they rant on Kashmir, and yet a section in our film industry depicts a very rosy picture about Pakistan. Now, is that also your appreciation? Is our film industry misleading our own country?
Gaurav, what happens is Pakistan uses terrorism as an instrument of state policy, and that must be brought out loud and clear. In this context also, the Pakistanis want this movie rights to be shown there. What does that issue show? That it shows that just because the Indian army and the Sikhs are not being shown in the proper light, I thought that at least the people must be careful. They must be sensitive to the sentiments of the Indian armed forces, and also the Sikhs, who form a very great part and very brave soldiers they all are, and we all are. And therefore, I don't think, even if adaptation had to be done, it should have been done keeping the sentiments in mind. This is an old movie. Tom Hanks' movie, I saw it in 1994 or something like that. And now you can't have an adaptation identical to, say, even if they had to show, even if a movie had to be shown, I thought that at least the Indian army and the Sikhs should have been kept away from it. Anything else could have been done. But to show it, and Pakistan wanting the rights of it, is indicative how much they're going to be laughing at the kind of morons that they've shown of Laal Singh Chaddha. I think it's not correctly done. It is absolutely disgraceful. It should have been avoided.
Okay. Nasir Abdullah, the man you mock planted the first tricolor on the Siachen Glacier, incidentally, before Pakistan could do it. It was a race and he did it first. Pakistan couldn't do it. But what is Bollywood's Pakistan prem all about, sir? Pakistan bleeds us. Their actors and cricketers abuse us on Kashmir, and yet this section on Bollywood is hell-bent on hiding ground realities.
I will answer the question. I hope you're ready for this. For Rang De Basanti, Pakistan apparently, this is the information I've got, apparently wanted to buy the film from Amir, but at the end of the film, there was a scene about them unfurling the national flag of India. They wanted him to remove the scene. He said, go to hell. They refused to buy the film because he refused to change the ending. You guys have not heard of this. Please find out and please tell me, are you insinuating that Amir Khan is a traitor?
Sir, I asked you a question about Bollywood. I asked you a question about a section in India's film industry that bends over backwards to bring in Pakistanis when Pakistanis bleed us and abuse us.
Bleed us. Pakistan is a rogue nation. Absolutely accepted. They are mentally sick, and I understand because of their involvement. Hang on, Pakistan is a rogue nation. I know that. They are mentally sick. They're schizophrenic. They've been after India for the past 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know what is wrong with them. They should move on with their lives. They're idiotic. I'm hoping to give a message to the people of Pakistan and say, tell your government to stop meddling in Kashmir. It is so stupid. I'm amazed that they can be so stubbornly idiotic. I got no problem about that. They're a rogue nation, but to accuse our actor, and Amir Khan is a gentleman, he's a scholar, don't do that to him. Don't insinuate that he's a traitor. Shame on you.
Let me bring in Meghna Pant. We've just got the line back with her. Meghna Pant, Shahid Afridi, for example, that Pakistani cricketer, we were just talking about him. He broke the TV in his house because his daughter watched a Hindi serial that was showing Aarti. Look at Pakistani actors or their cricketers and their rants on Kashmir, their singers and their rants on Kashmir. And yet, this section in our film industry, is that alarming? They don't show the truth about Pakistani terror. And they build this great picture about Bhaichara, which clearly doesn't exist from Pakistan's side.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think, what's happened, Gaurav, is there's been such a change, such a shift in the way India now operates and thinks that I think this there's, like I said, it's the tussle between, we are conflating the artists with the art. So, what we're doing is, if we don't like the artist's statements or their viewpoints or their opinions, because of cancel culture, we're cancelling the art that they're also producing.
But
I think
here
this
we're talking
is
facts
one thing
on
we have to be
ground,
cognizant
Meghna.
of.
Based on
We're talking about a
actions and
movie,
not past
but
words.
watch the movie before deciding. I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I'm no one to say that it's insulting or pro-Pakistan. I really doubt it, because Amir Khan is an artist all of us love and respect hugely. So I sincerely doubt that he would do something like that. And I think Bollywood is a very smart, intelligent industry. I really doubt that they will produce content that is, unpatriotic in any way. Let's not question the patriotism of everybody. Let's not paint everybody with a brush because they made one statement off the cuff. I think let's give people a fair chance. Amir Khan is one of the best actors that our country has ever produced. I'm a fan, I'm sure you are. All of us have admired his talent. He's given our country so much. So let's give his film also a chance before, deciding its fate, or before cancelling him, or before cancelling his film.
Okay.
Watch a film for its story, for what it brings to your life, for what it evokes in you, for the emotions. You're making the nation then miss out on a film that can elevate, that can take a conversation forward.
But is it elevating, Jaleel Kulkarni? Is this harmless creative liberty, or do you see an agenda at work, as some have alleged? Business partnership that, Meghna Girish was talking about in Forrest Gump. It was with a US Army officer. In Laal Singh Chaddha, it's with a person from a hostile country. Is that worrisome?
I think, again, the only part that is worrisome, and I say this with a very practical point of view, is that the sensibilities have changed. We are a sensitive nation now, and people are speaking up about it. So when people are creating art, when artists are making statements online, and I'm also guilty of that, we need to be a little more sensitive. We need to we need to be a little more mindful in the art we are presenting. So let's not impinge on anybody's religious sentiments, or anybody's. I'm talking about Hindus or Muslims or Christians. Let's be sensitive to because we're a democratic country, and let's not cross boundaries. And if you're crossing the boundaries, then be willing to pay the price for it.
If you're repeatedly crossing the boundaries and only in one direction, Jaleel Kulkarni, if you're repeatedly, and if an artist is repeatedly crossing boundaries and only in one direction, then if I were to go back to that Ian Fleming line, once it's happenstance, twice it's coincidence, third time, Jaleel Kulkarni, it would be seen as enemy action.
Gaurav, all said and done, I think Amir himself has said, people who do not approve of his movie, please do not see. That is firstly. Secondly, he himself has, probably it looks that he now must have regretted as to why did he make a movie like this, which is hurting the sentiments of a large number of people. And presently, I do agree, you must respect the sentiments and sensibility, especially when you are an actor of that stature. You must be careful. And when you know you're doing that, an adaptation of this kind, which is 100% showing a moron, I think it would be celebrated in Pakistan, and definitely it would not be seen in the correct picture. However good you may be an actor, you must be careful of the sentiment. And in this context, I would say that definitely showing the Sikhs or the Indian Army in a bad light was a definitely disgraceful and bad show, not accepted.
Not acceptable, you say. General, that aspect about Sikhs being showed in backlight, in poor light. Your take on that? How does that happen? And for the army, this could have ramifications. Jaleel Kulkarni.
Yeah, definitely. See, there are no ramifications. People are wise enough; they understand what. But why unnecessarily get involved today? People are very careful. People are sensitive. We must ensure we must not cross that limit. And after all, it is one of the finest organizations. Everybody respects. I'm sure Amir himself also respects. I've seen him on shows here and there. So he has great respect and regards for the armed forces, not denying the fact. But is that the way to show the armed forces? And this was a movie made decades back. And times have changed. So sensibilities have changed. People are sensitive to what is being shown. You yourself wouldn't want to show your own army and the Sikh troops in a bad light. That's not the way to show when we are a very, very professional army. We don't have morons in the army at all.
I will let that be the last word on the show. Nasir Abdullah, Meghna Pant, Meghna Girish and Jaleel Kulkarni for joining me here on this India Today special. Many thanks. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Co-presented by PolicyBazaar.com in association with LIC, हर पल आपके साथ।
Good evening and welcome. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime. I am Pooja Shali. Har Ghar Tiranga is a campaign which has now caught and gripped the whole country. But there's also politics brewing over it, and that's our special telecast this Friday. Let's begin first with the headlines. It's a fight over freebies that has now escalated after Finance Minister accuses Arvind Kejriwal of giving perverse twist to the freebies. Sisodia alleges Modi waived off loans of friends. Political showdown over Mamata's aide Anubrat Mondal's arrest. TMC hits the streets of Kolkata protesting